And all right, welcome everybody to the Roshan Circle Time. All right, it's getting kind of warm today. It's gonna be a hot one. Yeah. All right. La 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 la. Let's see if I can sing high today. It didn't go too good yesterday. We'll give it another shot. Well, oh, someone's trying to get in. Sorry. I don't know why it doesn't admit everybody automatically anymore. I gotta figure that out. Got the waiting room now. All right, here we go. Well, hello, everybody. So glad to see you. Hello, everybody. We're so glad to see you too. Hello, to silly clown with a wobbly head. So glad to see you. Hello to Neva. We're so glad to see you too. Hello to Princess Ballerina. So glad to see you. Hello to Seed Pod. We're so glad to see you too. Hello to Flamingo Cheaper. So glad to see you. Hello to Cashy. We're so glad to see you too. Hello to Henry. So glad to see you. Hello to Isabella. We're so glad to see you too. Hello to Sophia. So glad to see you. Hello to Elliot. We're so glad to see you too. Hello to Abby. So glad to see you. Hello. Do I have any more siblings? I think that's it. Hello. Everybody. Oh no, I forgot Lewin. I'm so sorry. Hello to Lewin. We're so glad to see you too. Hello. Oh my God, I'm getting cramps again. Hello, everybody. So glad to see you. Hello, everybody. We're so glad to see you. Yay for silly names. I really do miss doing silly names in a circle live with you guys and you think of it on the spot. That's more fun. But what can you do? What can you do? All right. I've got a couple different books today. I think I'm going to start with this one. I can't remember if I read this before. I might have. I think I could have possibly read this like a couple months back, but it's a classic, so I figured I'd do it anyway. I couldn't remember if I read it or not. It's called Dino Sailors. And before the book even starts, they introduce the characters. This guy over here, Spinosaurus, he's first mate. This guy over here, Stegosaurus, he's the bosun, which is like, what is the bosun? I don't even know what he does exactly. Brachiosaurus over here, he's the deckhand. Triceratops is second mate. Tyrannosaurus Rex is cabin boy, which is surprising. And the captain is Hadrosaurus. All right. This book was written by someone named Deb Lund. Drawings done by Howard Fine, and it's called Dino Sailors. Dinosaurs on the high seas. All right, here it goes. Get it in the picture here. Dino Sailors at the slip. That's a word for where you dock your boat at the marina or whatever. Cry out, ahoy, and board their ship. They swab the deck, stow dino gear, ignoring the clouds that linger near. Oh man, I wish I could play this with the rhyming game. This is a rhyming book, so I could have you guys guess the words, but oh well. They're hale and hearty, dino tough. They talk of salty sailing stuff. Blocks and winches, dino cleats, shackles, tacking, trimming sheets. Those are all words in on a boat. Like what do they call it? Maritime, not maritime. I can't remember the name, but the boat, like boat words. And blocks and winches. Those are the things that pull on the rope. We pull on the ropes to raise up the sails and let them down. Dino cleats is this is a cleat, I believe. It's where you wrap around the rope to tie it off. And shackles, I'm not sure what those are. Tacking and trimming sheets. Those are all like just sail stuff. But we must have a sailboat, not a motorboat. Dino sailors choose a course, raise anchor using dino force. They haul on lines, hoist dino sails, and scale the rigging with their tails. So usually, when you pull up an anchor, that's an anchor over there, keeps your boat from moving around. When you pull it up, you're ready to go. You usually have to do this like this thing that like slowly pulls up because it's very heavy. But dinosaurs are strong, so they just yank it out of the water with their hands. Dino singers sing a song. Tenors, basses booming strong. Heave-ho, heave-ho, this is life for me. Dino sailing on the sea. They're all singing their song. Kind of like, what? Remember we did that song at school, from Pirates of the Caribbean? Yo ho, a pirate's life for me. We pillage and plunder and blah, 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 blah. When you read the words to that song, they're really bad guys. Pillage and plunder means not being friendly. Okay, back to the story. Sorry about that. Dino sailors have a ball until their vessel hits a squall. A squall is another name for like a small storm. The water tosses all around, and their dino feet miss the solid ground. This is a true story. I don't know if you've ever been on a boat in the ocean, but when you're on a boat in the lake, no problem. It's kind of like do 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 do. But when you're on a boat in the ocean, sometimes if there's any wave, you're like up and down and up and down, and also side to side, and you're this thing in the back of your ear makes you have balance. You station tube, I believe it's called, makes you have balance. And when you're moving around so much like that, it makes your body like feel out of balance, and it makes you feel sick to your stomach. So they're already feeling it. It's called seasick. They dino salt like ping pong balls, bumping dino rumps and walls. Dino swingers hang from sails. They mash the mast and ram the rails. Ram the rails? I don't know what that means. But usually, if it gets too windy or too stormy, you usually take the sails down so they don't rip. So maybe that's what they're doing. I don't even know. This guy is hanging on a rope saying, "Ah, help me! I'm stuck on a rope."
Whoopsie.
Ah. You know what you whoopsieing about. Dino Sailor, Dino Diners in the galley. The galley is the name on a boat for the kitchen, basically. They do not stop to dilly dally. Grabbing grub, they gobble up, gripping Dino fork and Dino cup. So even though the boat is moving around a lot, they decide to eat dinner. It was maybe not such a good idea, so they're munching. Ow, ow, ow. Their dino tummies slosh and churn. They groan with every twist and turn. Oh, I don't feel so good. Their paling faces dino frown. Heave ho, they cry, it won't stay down. Uh-oh, guess what's gonna happen? They are going to... Oh! That's them. They're on the boat and they're going, bleh, they're barfing. I call it barfing. Some people call it vomiting, throwing up, some people call it. Anyway, it's what your body does when it doesn't feel good and it needs to get the stuff out. Dino sailors need a break. They shiver, ache, and dino shake. Though the winds die down to just a breeze, they still have wobbly dino knees. They're still like, oh, I'm so sick, I just threw up everything in my whole belly. They're not feeling good. The woozy dinos moan and weep. They're crying. The day's been long, they need some sleep. In dino jammies at the head, they brush and floss and then they climb in bed. Oh, they're good dinos. They brush and floss their teeth, which are really big. That must take a long time for the T Rex. When they awake, they cry, "No more! We're sick of decks. We want a floor." They don't want to be on a boat anymore. Dino whiners reach the land and stagger off, so glad to stand. So they come back onto the dock here off of the boat, and they're all like, "Yay, we got off. We're not back on regular land." Dino sailors sell that boat. They just sold it. They never want to use it again. They'd rather Dino stroll than float. They go back home to those that they miss to cuddle, hug, and Dino kiss. They're going back to their moms and dads. "Oh, I know, it was so hard to be on a boat." The Dino life is calm and slow for dinos who are on the go. Once more, they hear adventure's cry. So Dino travelers say goodbye. They're gonna go on another adventure. They don't want to stay home forever. Oh, look, I forgot about this part. Here's their like little town that they live in, right? Their houses. But back here, there's a volcano, dude, and it's like going off. Woo! No more seasick Dino bunch. They find a way to keep their lunch. In harmony, they join the chord. Dino trainers all aboard! Oh, they're gonna go on a train this time. I'm pretty sure I have that book too, but I was gonna save it for another day. That's a pretty cool story, right? Okie dokie. Now I'm gonna do another one of my long books. I'm really getting into the Native American stories and just any folk story, really. But we have a lot of different folk stories that are from different Native American tribes. And I forget which tribe this, I think that's how they say it, but this one's called The Legend of the Indian Paintbrush, which is a kind of flower that grows in the desert. It looks like that. It's a flower, really. It's not really a paintbrush, but they call it like it looks like a paintbrush. So let's see. Well, they might actually use different paintbrushes, maybe. All right. Oh, does it tell me what tribe this is? No. No. It's okay. The Legend of Indian Paintbrush is retold and illustrated by Tommy De Paola. So he did the drawings and the words. This is one of those stories that's so old, it was a story before there was even such a thing as a book. Okie dokie. Starts like this. Many years ago, when the people traveled the plains, it's a part of America that's very flat, hardly any hills, and lived in a circle of teepees, there was a boy who was smaller than the rest of the children in the tribe. No matter how hard he tried, he couldn't keep up with the other boys who were always riding, running, shooting their bows, and wrestling to prove how strong they are. Sometimes his mother and father worried for him because he's kind of small and couldn't go as fast as the other kids, I guess. So there he is. I haven't said his name yet. And there's the kids that he wants to play with, but they're too fast. And there's their little village, I guess you call it. But the boy, who was called Little Gopher, was not without a gift of his own. From an early age, wait, can you say I should move closer now? From an early age, he made toy warriors from scraps of leather and pieces of wood, and he loved to decorate smooth stones with the red juices from berries he found in the hills. The wise shaman of the tribe understood. Shaman's kind of like a smart man, I guess you say. Of the tribe understood that Little Gopher had a gift that was special. And he said, "Do not struggle, Little Gopher. Your path will not be the same as the others. They will grow up to be warriors." Oh, what was that? Your place among the people will be remembered for a different reason. So you might not be a warrior, but you've got artistic qualities. Look at that. He made these. He made like little sculptures, horse person, and there's the rocks that he painted. And in a few years, when Little Gopher was older, he went out to the hills alone to think about becoming a man. For this was the custom of the tribe, and it was there that a dream vision came to him. The sky filled with clouds, and out of them came a young Indian maiden and an old grandfather. She carried a rolled up animal skin, and he carried a brush made of fine animal hairs and pots of paints. Oh, wow, dream vision. Yeah, I heard about this. They used to go out alone in the woods or wherever, and you were supposed to see something, like have a vision. And here's his vision. These people come out of the clouds, clouds people. The grandfather spoke first. My son, these are the tools by which you shall become great among your people. You will paint pictures of the deeds of the warriors and the visions of the shaman, and the people shall see them and remember them forever. The maiden unrolled a pure white buckskin and placed it on the ground. Find a buckskin as white as this, she told them. Keep it, and one day you will paint a picture that is as pure as the colors in the evening sky. So they're telling him what he needs to do. Buckskin is like the skin of an animal after it died. And as she finished speaking, the clouds cleared and a sunset of great beauty filled the sky. Little Gopher looked at the white buckskin, and on it he saw colors as bright and beautiful as those made by the setting sun. So he sees the setting sun, yellow, orange, pinky, bluish, purple, and her buckskin has the same colors as that. Then the sun slowly sank behind the hills, the sky grew dark, and the dream vision was over. Little Gopher returned to the circle of the people that he lived with. So he comes back after seeing those two people. Oh, and this is a really famous constellation. It looks kind of like upside down W. I can't remember what it's called. The next day, he began to make soft brushes from the hairs of different animals and stiff brushes from the hair of the horse's tail. He gathered berries of flowers and rocks of different colors and crushed them to make his paints. So this is the old days. There's no stores. You can't just go buy a paintbrush and some paint. He had to make all of this stuff. So you get a stick, right? I think you can see that. You get a stick and you tie on actual hairs of an animal one by one, and you wrap them all on there. It takes a lot more work, but you see he's got time. He collected the skins of animals which the warriors brought home from their hunts, and he stretched the skins on wooden frames and pulled them until they were tight. So also, there's no canvas to work on, like, paint on a canvas or paper or whatever. So they had to use animal skins in those days. And he began to paint pictures of great hunts. So he painted a picture of the warriors. I guess they're hunting a buffalo. And of great deeds. I don't know what this one's supposed to mean, but black hand, buffalo, guy riding a horse. I think that's usually the sun, that symbol. I don't know what deeds those are exactly. And he painted great dream visions so that people would always remember. Here's some dream vision of a bird. I think it's a raven coming up. I don't know what it's doing exactly. But even as he painted, Little Gopher sometimes longed to put aside his brushes and ride out with the warriors. But always he remembered his dream vision, and he did not go with them. So sometimes he wants to go with the guys, but he's like, but that's not what the cloud people told me. I got to keep painting. Many months ago, he had found his pure white buckskin, but it remained empty because he could not find the colors of the sunset. He used the brightest flowers, the reddest berries, and the deepest purples from the rocks, and still his paintings never satisfied him. They looked dull and dark. So if you have to make your own paints, they're usually not super, super bright, depending on the berry or whatever you use. So here's a sunset, and it looks pretty good, right? But it's just not bright enough to him. It looks a little too brownish, I guess. He began to go to the top of the hill each evening and look at the colors that filled the sky to try and understand how to make them. He longed to share the beauty of his dream vision with the people. So he looks at the sky, he's like, how do I make those colors? What can I use? But he never gave up trying, and every morning he awoke. He took out his brushes and his pots of paint and created the stories of the people with the tools that he had. So even though he can't do his perfect sunset painting, he's still doing other paintings. One night, as he was lay awake, he heard a voice calling to him. Because you have been faithful to the people and true to your gift, you shall find the colors that you are seeking. I don't see anybody else in this picture. Who's talking to him? I don't know. Tomorrow take the white buckskin and go to the place where you watch the sun in the evening. There on the ground you will find what you need. Okay, so they're telling them go to that place and you're going to find the color you're looking for. The next evening, as the sun began to go down, Little Gopher put aside his brushes and went to the top of the hill as the colors of the sunset spread across the sky. And there on the ground, all around him, were brushes filled with paint. Huh? Look at those brushes. They're all there, just there, magically, I guess. Each one was a different color of the sunset. Little Gopher began to paint quickly and surely, using one brush and then another. So I don't know if you can see this, but all those brushes are a little bit different. Like one's yellow, pink, reddish, orangish. Like they're all sort of a little different. And as the colors in the sky began to fade, Little Gopher gazed at the white buckskin and he was happy. He had found the colors of the sunset. He carried his painting down to the circle of the people, leaving the brushes on the hillside. So he didn't take the brushes with him, which is very interesting. I don't know, I would probably take the brushes. And the next day, when the people awoke, the hill was ablaze with color, for the brushes had taken root in the earth and multiplied into plants of brilliant reds and orange and yellows. And every spring from that time on, the hills and the meadows burst into bloom with this kind of a flower. And every spring, the people danced and sang the praises of Little Gopher, who had painted for the people. And the people no longer called him Little Gopher, but now they called him He Who Brought the Sunset to Earth. Ooh, that's a long name. And yeah, that's the end. I think it is. The end. Oh, it doesn't say what tribe it came from, though, this story. Oh, well. I'll have to look that up, maybe. Let's see, how much time do we have? Oh, I have a lot of time. They're never as long as I think. I thought that book was really long. It's fairly long, but not that bad, right? All right, I do have my last backup book just in case I had time, which I do. And this one's called Harvey the Carpenter. And I'm pretty sure he's a beaver. And a carpenter is somebody who builds stuff with wood. Okay, let's see. Harvey the Carpenter is written by Lars Klinting. And there's only the one person listed, so he must have done the drawings and the pictures as well. And it starts out like this. Harvey is planning to make a toolbox today, and he's got all his tools. He's got a saw, coping saw, and a file, all kinds of, I think we're gonna go over all the different tools. All of the tools that Harvey needs are in his workshop, but it is very messy. Sometimes it's hard for him to find things. Where in the world did he put his plans? So here's his wood shop, bench, pieces of wood, more wood, broom, and this box says on it plans. Like a lot of times when you make something, you have to do a drawing first with all the how big you want it to be with the measurements and stuff. And he can't find his plans. Oh darn. And then he says, phew, here they are. Now he can get started. He found the ones he's looking for. He's got a lot of plans though, right? First, Harvey studies his drawing carefully. He doesn't want to make any mistakes. This is a true story about carpenters. It's called measure twice, cut once. You always got to make sure you got it just right. Because once you cut the piece of wood, you can't make it any longer after that, right? So then Harvey gets his tools ready. He takes out a tri-square, which I just call a square. And all this does really, it makes you have a perfectly 90-degree, it's called, angle. And a folding ruler. These are very old-fashioned, sort of before they had tape measures, where you know a tape measure, you pull it out and it just keeps coming out, coming out, coming out, coming out. This one is you fold it out to get to how long you want it to be. Harvey measures the boards carefully and marks where he is going to cut the wood. The tri-square helps him draw straight lines. So, oh, 10-minute warning. Me. Okay. This is very important. See how he's like sort of lines it up on the wood? That makes it super straight cut, so it's not like crooked, basically. Now it's time to do the sawing. Here's his saw. Be careful, Harvey. A saw is very sharp. So Harvey is a hand tool kind of guy. Nowadays, you'd have a saw is like a motor saw. It spins around, circular saw, and but he's doing an old-fashioned hand saw, right? Harvey saws the boards along the lines that he drew. Here he is. You got to clamp it down. He's pretty good with that. And then it says he needs a different tool to cut the curved pieces of his project. And it says this is a coping saw, which has a very skinny blade, so you can go around in turns. You can do doesn't just do straight lines, it does curvy lines. That looks perfect. What a nice, neat job Harvey has done. These are the sides of the toolbox, so it's kind of curved over there. Now Harvey wants to make some holes. So he needs a brace and a bit that's just big enough. This is also super old-fashioned. This is a drill. They call it a brace. I don't know why. I call it a drill. This is a hand drill, though. You put one hand up there, you put the other hand right here, and you go like this, kind of like, it spins it. And instead of going like I use now a drill, it's just a drill like a gun. It goes, you just pull a button and goes, it starts spinning really fast. Making holes is hard work. Harvey stands on his tool so that he can, his stool so that he can reach. And there he is working the drill to make a hole in his toolbox project. To make some little holes, Harvey needs a different tool. He uses an egg beater drill. There's another hand drill. And a bit that's just small enough. This is much smaller. This is the thing that cuts the hole out. Harvey whizzes the egg beater drill around and around like this. The wood that he's using is rough. That means like sort of not smooth. And Harvey doesn't want to get it splintered. So he needs to smooth down the wood with a rasp, or I call that a file, and some sandpaper, and a sanding block to wrap the paper around so it's nice and flat. Harvey rubs the wood for a long time with the sandpaper, and when he's finished, it feels nice and smooth. So yeah, if you use sandpaper and you use sort of rough at first, and then a little bit less rough and a little bit less rough of sandpaper, it comes out real smooth wood. All the parts are ready. He already cut his parts out, so Harvey needs to fit them together. He uses a screwdriver and some screws, and Harvey twists the screws into the little holes he made, and they fit perfectly. So that's where he made a hole there so it wouldn't crack the wood. And you put the screw in, it goes through this first board and into the second one, and it holds them together. You can also use wood glue, but he's using screws. It's fine. For the next job, Harvey needs a hammer and some nails. Whoops, Harvey bends one of the nails. Uh-oh, this happens sometimes. Sometimes if you're hitting a nail, tongue, and you sort of hit it off to the side a little bit, it can make the nail just get bent, right? And he just did that. He bent his nail. Oopsie daisy. And he's like, oh, what happened? I never do that. So a pair of pliers will fix that. He pulls the nail out. Yank. Harvey tugs out the bent nail, but it puts up quite a fight. He almost falls over, but he got it out. The toolbox is almost done. All Harvey needs now is a mallet, which is a wooden hammer, and some glue, wood glue. Harvey fits the toolbox handle into the big holes that he made. Some glue will hold it in place. So he uses the glue to hold this handle part across the two sides. Now Harvey collects all of his tools together. He gets his saw and his file and his hammer and some nails and the coping saw and the pliers and the screws and the sandpaper and the screwdriver and the folding ruler and the brace, I call it a hand drill, and the egg beater drill and a mallet and the bits and the tri-square and the glue. He gets all his tools that he just used to make the box, and he puts them away His brand new toolbox. Oh, that's why I made it. Harvey has worked hard, and now it's time for a cup of tea. Oh, it's already nighttime. He worked like all day long. Oh, and that's the end. And this book's really cool because it actually gives you drawings to make a toolbox just like Harvey's toolbox. And it gives you all the, what do you call it? Measurements. Ooh, they're in millimeters though. And inches. Interesting. Everything you need. 24 inches of six. I see. 6 millimeter plywood, and it's 7 inches wide and 14 inches long. So see that they give a measurement for how wide and how long. Pretty cool. That's the end. Harvey. Look how much time do I have? Oh, I have a lot of time. Not a lot, but I have enough time for goodbye song. Let me unmute everybody. Oh shoot. I still doesn't work very good for me. I have to ask to unmute. Why is that? Why can't I just unmute on my own?
We have 7%.
7%?
It's doing exploded.
Oh, here we go. Some people unmuted. Okay, it doesn't matter.
Yeah.
Right. Time for the goodbye song.
Dave, you know what?
All right. Where's my list of who's here? There we go. And a one, and a two, and a goodbye, Josie. Goodbye, Josie. Goodbye, Josie. We'll see you real soon. Goodbye, Eva.
Look what I just put.
Goodbye, Eva.
Let's see what I did.
Goodbye, Eva. We'll see you real soon.
For everything.
Goodbye, Franny. Goodbye, Franny. Goodbye, Franny. We'll see you real soon. Goodbye, Shy. Goodbye, Shy. Goodbye, Shy. We'll see you real soon. Goodbye, Lucy. Goodbye, Lucy. Goodbye, Lucy. We'll see you real soon. Goodbye, Cash. Goodbye, Cash. Goodbye, Cash. We'll see you real soon. Goodbye, Lewin. Goodbye, Lewin. Goodbye, Lewin. We'll see you real soon. Goodbye, Henry. Goodbye, Henry. Goodbye, Henry. We'll see you real soon. Goodbye, Isabella. Goodbye, Isabella. Goodbye, Isabella. We'll see you real soon. Goodbye, Sophia. Goodbye, Sophia. Goodbye, Sophia. We'll see you real soon. Goodbye, Elliot. Goodbye, Elliot. Goodbye, Elliot. We'll see you real soon. Goodbye, Abby. Goodbye, Abby. Goodbye, Abby. We'll see you real soon. Oh, that's everybody.
I don't know.
Goodbye, who killed the chicken? Goodbye to the chicken. Goodbye to the chicken.
Chicken.
Oh, all right, guys, I made it before I shut off. Bye-bye. Thank you so much for coming. I love you
Bye.
so much. Mwah, mwah, kisses.
Bye.
Kisses. Hugs, 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 hugs. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Bye, Isabella. Bye, Sophia. Bye, Josie. Bye,
Bye.
Neva, if you're still there. Bye, Lewin.
Bye.
Bye, Lucy. Bye, Henry. See you guys tomorrow.
I can do my gum. See you tomorrow. See you tomorrow.
See you tomorrow.
Now can I do